Hi everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on Traxon EQ's new media wallpaper. My name is Erin Vanna, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Traxon North America, and I will be the moderator of today's session. Presenting will be Cy Eaton, GCAM Business Development Manager for Traxon, and he'll take it away in just a few minutes. But before we begin, I wanted to go over a few quick housekeeping items. First of all, as this is a live session, all attendees are on mute. So if you have a question, please enter it in the question and answer box at any time, and we'll get to all questions at the end of the presentation. In addition, the session will also be recorded and shared on our social channels to view again or share with colleagues who may not have been able to join us today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Cy.
Thank you very much, Erin, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited to talk about one of my favorite aspects of the Traxon EQ product family and this brand new addition to that product line. Now, for those of you not familiar with the Traxon EQ lineup, you can categorize it generally into 4 silos. We have our illumination family of spots, floods, and grazers, and our ambient and accent, all of our interior cove solutions, media lighting, which we are going to focus on today, and of course, the EQ lighting management and control solutions. So for those of you who've been, if you've used Traxon for anything, you probably use one of our media lighting solutions, these individually addressable dynamic fixtures of various scales. So we're here especially to talk about media wallpaper, the latest addition to this product lineup. Now, we started our foray into media lighting solutions at the building scale. These you're probably familiar with MediaTube HO and Allegro Dot. These products to accentuate whole building facades and to be viewed from hundreds of meters, if not kilometers away. And you've seen these pictures on our website or maybe in magazine write-ups. These are iconic projects. And for a while, this was the scale of project required to do a media lighting solution, because the cost of the fixtures and the controls was kind of cost prohibitive to entry. But as control costs have come significantly down, and as addressable pixels have become more compact and brighter in these small scales, we've been able to take these same application concepts down to the human scale of application, starting with our line of pixel boards and strips, and now with media wallpaper. And when I say human scale, we're talking about installations meant to be viewed from a few meters away up to maybe tens of meters away. 1 story to a few stories tall, so atria, transition corridors, entries, these sorts of applications. Now, showing just pictures of media lighting doesn't really get the whole concept across, because this is a dynamic lighting solution. So we're going to show you a few of my favorite human scale media lighting applications, just to get the true sense of what this type of product can do for you and your projects. So starting with Nemours Children's Hospital. Now, this is an installation that really takes the concept of hospital lighting and turns it on its head. Everything we think about hospital light in terms of bright, sterile, uncomfortable, this is the exact opposite of this. It's soothing, it's playful, it's the perfect embodiment of what media lighting can be, liquid light. And then we can, with media lighting, add an additional dimension of design by going from active to interactive. So here's the Hong Kong Coliseum, one of their entry corridors. And what a neat way of taking a space, not just transforming a space through light, but transforming occupants' relationship with that space through light. So, as I said, transition corridors, atriums, entries, There's a lot of great applications for this sort of product, but notice how all of these application photos are planar. They're flat. And well, that's to be expected, because if you look at our lineup of products, media products to date, these are all rigid lines and planes of light. Now, at the building scale, like this application project on the left, you can take 4-foot segments of rigid product and approximate a curve really effectively. But up close, just a few meters away, that polygon effect starts to take shape, and you can't get smooth undulating curves. So that's why we are adding media lighting paper to our media wallpaper to our lineup. And let's get into the nuts and bolts of that. So what is it? It's a flexible, field cuttable media light solution. It's incredibly lightweight, only 2 ounces per square foot. It requires no supplemental heat sink, uses space age mounting technology, and delivers 1,200 nits of calibrated light. And for reference, that's 4 to 5 times brighter than your typical TV or screen or computer monitor. And when I say calibrated, what I mean there is that that's not just using all 3 channels of the RGB pixel at full capacity. That's 1,200 nits of calibrated white light along the black body curve. If you try to illuminate a space with TV screens and then check its color with a color meter, you'll notice a significant shift off of that white curve. Another way of thinking about what media wallpaper is to talk about what it's not. It is not a TV screen, and that's because we're trying to avoid this sports bar effect of just slapping high-res TVs onto the architecture, and it doesn't really integrate with the space. It just sort of overlays on it. Also, TVs are rigid. They come in very fixed sizes and aspect ratios with a bezel. They're heavy, require complex mounting and sometimes supplemental cooling. And it leads to this information overload. And there's some spaces that want that density of information and require that sort of high-res screen to communicate all this data. But in many applications, in tourist and hospitality locations and again, entries, corporate foyers and such, you want something that is much more inviting and soothing. All right, so I mentioned space age mounting technology. Yes, Velcro. This may not seem like a big thing, but if you look at other LED sheet products on the market, now to be clear, media wallpaper is the only digitally addressable RGB single pixel control product available on the market, but there's some other general flexible backlight products that have a similar form factor, and all of those use sticky back to adhere to your substrate, to your architecture. And that's fine until, there's some sort of architectural or creative change, and who has not worked on projects where there's architectural or creative change? Suddenly you might have to destroy that product in order to adjust to those changes. So Velcro, we thought, was an important aspect to improve the test and adjust experience and potential maintenance concerns in the future. Also, field cuttable. This is a 2-foot by 2-foot sheet. We realize that maybe not all architecture conforms to 2-foot by 2-foot increments. So you can absolutely cut this in the field along straight or even curved lines. I like to say that it is 80% field cuttable because you do need to retain this area here between the power data input connector and the processor. This small field you shouldn't cut, because otherwise you won't really have power or control. But enough of schematic drawings. Let's actually look at this product in the flesh. Now, I alluded to media wallpaper a couple of months ago when I did a session on human scale media lighting in general, and sharp-eyed observers noticed that I held up some media wallpaper, but it wasn't on because it was an engineering sample that worked once upon a time, but after a year of touring with it, I finally managed to break it. But today we have some nice stuff up and running, and look at that. Look at that, Mary. So as I said, flexible, incredibly lightweight. We have here both the deep black and white for your viewing pleasure. Here is that processor that I mentioned with actually integrated pixels to complete the media field. And this deep black, so why would we offer white, black, and deep black as our finish options? It really depends on whether you're going for full brightness with the white, you just reflect as much light as possible, or if you want optimal contrast ratios with black, or for the best contrast ratio, this deep black that has this like black velvety petable surface to it. That adds a little bit of weight to the installation, but still is an incredibly light product to deal with. Cool stuff. So let's talk about the overall system and how you would put this product together. It's actually incredibly straightforward. We just have, we're going to take in power and data and feed it out to sheets, which we can daisy chain across. So zooming in here a second, I'm going to take 1 voltage power in, convert that to 24 volt DC on our 100 watt power supply. 100 watts, we're capping it there so we can maintain a class 2 rating on this. Just keeps everything safe and easier to install. And we're going to take EPIX control protocol, and we'll talk about that more in just a minute. Combine that power and data in our injector box, and then a 4-wire harness connects to your media wallpaper. Each sheet of media wallpaper consumes a maximum of 25 watts of power, so we can put up to 4 sheets on a single power supply and data feed. And then as your project scales up, you just add additional power data feeds and additional sheets. And at that point, between our scalable control solutions and the scalability of this solution, you're really only constrained by needing to keep the last sheet of your daisy chain 30 meters away from your power supply and 100 meters away from your control processor. So let's talk about what those control processors are. I mentioned EPIX as the control protocol. This is a proprietary EQ digital bus control solution. It's similar to DMX, but whereas DMX only has 512 addresses per universe, EPIX can handle 2048 addresses per universe, which is important when we think about these 2-foot by 2-foot sheets. There's 144 RGB pixels, so 432 addresses per sheet. So you'd be using an entire DMX universe per sheet, and the wiring on that would just get nutty. So we're using EPIX here specifically so we can get that paired power and data daisy chain up to 4 whole sheets, or about 16 square feet of controlled media. That EPIX comes from our simple nodes that are available in both 2 and 8 universe nodes, and then that can be controlled by one of our processors. For a simple solution, no pun intended, we use our simple Core S, and that can control right about 8 universes, about 5,000 pixels, or 30 sheets of product. For a medium-sized project, we have our LCE2MX, and this can take about 10 times the capacity of your Core S, about 50,000 pixels of control, or 1,200 square feet of media wallpaper. And then for the truly bold, we have the LCE3, our recently updated major project processor. This can control up to 3 million pixels of RGB media light, and that translates to about 2 acres of media wallpaper. I know somebody's going to ask, what if I already have an existing control package on this project? Do I need to change everything over to EQ? The answer is no. We do have a simple bridge node that can receive open Ethernet-based protocols, streaming ACN or ArcNet, and convert that into 8 universes of EPIX control. Again, this is very scalable. We can add additional bridges depending on the scale of your project. So the final thought that I want to leave you with when we talk about media lighting, this is kind of expanding the whole market and process of lighting, architectural lighting and lighting design. Traditional lighting systems are made up of two components, your fixtures and your controls. When we get into dynamic lighting solutions, and especially media lighting, there's this third component of content. It's what is the control, what sort of information or experience is the control putting onto those fixtures? Because this is now getting more complicated than just having a few zones, an ambient layer, a cove layer, an accent, and then getting in there with some sliders and going up a bit, down a bit, done. This content is where we're adding, it might be a static image, might be moving video, or it might be some sort of interactivity or algorithm that creates these engaging moments. And this is a new element as a market. We're all adapting to what that is. So as you wade into this new realm of architectural lighting practice, Traxon EQ is there to partner with your design team and ownership to help both from the very beginning of creative conceptualization to help identify feasibility and budget targets, and collaborate with your team through the entire process, through project management, project installation, commissioning, and even continuing service and maintenance. So just a couple of things to keep in mind when you start to explore all of the possibilities of media lighting. And with that, I want to open up the floor to questions. And we're really excited to hear how you are going to use these new media lighting tools in your next projects.
Great. So we do have a few questions here. The first one, Sai, is what is the difference between the black and the deep black finish?
The black is, like I said, it's a little bit lighter in weight, and it's instead of a matte black, it's a slightly glossy black. There is a small upcharge for the deep black, about 5%.
Okay. Is this product currently available for ordering?
Absolutely. We are accepting orders today, and we've actually already quoted and received a few orders for this, and we'll be shipping. Right now, lead times are around 8 to 12 weeks. As we ramp up production, we expect that to come down.
Fantastic. And you just answered another one of the questions about lead times. Another question, does the field cuttable option allow to cut into shapes?
There are some restrictions on where you can and cannot cut. If you are planning, especially a complex project or some specific cutting, I encourage you to engage with your business development manager, and we can help collaborate with you on the best way to achieve the shape and look that you're going for. Our product team is really happy to collaborate with you on those needs.
Awesome. We have another one here. Is there a budget we can use when talking to designers about the product?
If you have any pricing questions, if you're a designer or specifier, please reach out to your rep. If you're a rep, please reach out to your BDM, and they can help you with pricing. We have quoted this to a few projects already, and what I can say is there's been no sticker shock or anything. Everybody's it's like, yep, that's about what I expected it to come in as. It's pricing in about the same range as our existing Pixel product, if you're familiar with that.
Okay. Another one is, who supplies the media content?
That is always a great question. That can come from a number of different parties. Both the Traxon EQ team and our programmers can provide that as an additional service. And there's many both designers that specialize in this and third-party integrators. And depending on the application, sometimes there's actually third-party advertisers who create the content to put their themed media experience onto a facade or into an atrium.
Awesome. And we did get another question that I think you kind of touched upon briefly, but could you just mention again what the lead time is?
Right now, expect 8 to 12 weeks. And as we ramp up production and build our stocks, we'll expect that to come down. And really, it's going to come down to the scale of your project and how many pieces we're delivering to you and the overall demand.
Perfect. How would you compare this to other video wall solutions in cost and setup time?
So I could wax for days on like this versus a media, like a TV wall solution. Price wise, we're again, talk with your local reps to get the exact comparison, but we're definitely going to be coming below those, as well as just the weight required to install those TVs. At 2 ounces per square foot, we require very little structural reinforcement, and with Velcro, you're going to be able to put this in very quickly.
Great. Could you let us know what the IP rating is?
It is currently IP20, so interior application for a bare fixture, but of course, if you wanted to use this in a damp or exterior environment, the enclosure and diffuser system that you put this inside, as long as that is rated for the environment, the components inside should be fine. Great.
Another question on when it comes to the color options. Why would you select deep black over the regular black, and what are the benefits?
The best way to understand those benefits, frankly, when you're ready to make those decisions, I encourage you to reach out and we can furnish samples for you to do kind of a side-by-side comparison. Sometimes with like the white finish or the black finish, you're going more for brightness. And with black, you're going for that contrast, and sometimes that contrast ratio creates more of a pop and makes it seem brighter, especially if you're doing saturated colors.
Okay. What is the pixel density or chip spacing?
The pixel pitch is 2 inches or 50 millimeters. So it's a 2 foot by 2 foot sheet, and it's a 12 by 12 pixel grid, 144 pixels on the sheet. Okay. Now, and I'll mention, just as a little Easter egg, if I can get to it, if that is not dense enough for you, if you want a higher resolution, there's a little detail of again, so here's your 2 inch by 2 inch spacing, and you'll notice in the center of these 4 pixels, there's a little leave out here. And this is electrically dead space and can actually be punched out in the factory if you wanted to overlay 2 sheets and increase your pixel density and brightness.
Okay, we have a few more here. Can Traxon design the most efficient light for my project, and what would you need to do this?
Sorry, I missed a word there. Can Traxon design the most what?
Efficient layout for the project.
Yes, absolutely. I would encourage the project to kind of take their first pass at it, and just as you would frequently engage a manufacturer for that shop drawing level of detail, we're happy to collaborate with you to finalize those details.
Okay. Is there a preferred screen material?
We have a few recommendations, but really project to project, depending on the effect and the constraints, there's multiple different solutions, both your traditional kind of just diffuse milky acrylics, as well as more advanced prismatic and holographic films. And some people aren't always going for a smooth diffusion like what we have here. Sometimes you're going for like a prismatic effect to really make the colors dance. But we have some samples available and definitely have our opinions. So I encourage you to collaborate with us and reach out, and we can make some suggestions specific to your project application.
Okay, we have a two-part question here. How far does the processor protrude from the face of the sheet, and does it get hot?
The processor adds about, I believe it's 10 mil off of the face of the sheet. So not very far. Since you're at a 2-inch pixel pitch, you're going to want your diffuser at least 30 mil off of that. The processor has built-in heat sinking, and then the wiring of the sheet that makes the sheet field cuttable is this web work of copper wiring that also doubles as a heat dissipator. So it does not really get hot. There's no need for supplemental heat sinking on this product.
Okay. Where is the product produced?
Germany.
At Light Fair in Philadelphia, one of the blacks had a velvet texture. Is that the deep black?
Yes, yeah, that is the deep black. So the non-deep black is kind of a glossy finish. It's just a little plasticky, and then the deep black has that sort of plush toy finish to it.
So we have two more questions that kind of go hand in hand, so I'll say them both. First being, would you normally install this behind an overlay or behind glass? And also, can Traxon supply or specify the diffusion material?
Let's see. Normally, we've already had some applications where it's designed not to be viewed right up a meter away, but more like 10 or 20 meters away. And the project decided to do no diffusion whatsoever, and the pixels worked well as kind of a media display, low-res media display. So it's common to put a diffuser in front of this, but certainly not necessary. And then for your application, absolutely, we have some, well, Osram does not itself produce diffusion material. We do have a deep resource of fabrication capabilities and custom and modified production capabilities. So we can collaborate with you to design the specific complete box, including the container, wire chaseways, and diffusion or acrylic or glass, that whole complete system as a custom project application as needed. We're happy to collaborate with you on that.
Are the sheets flammable?
Oh, that's a new question for me. I will have to get back to you on the specific flammability rating. I would, if I were on fire, I would not wrap myself in this, but reach out to us after this call and we will follow up with some specific flame ratings on this product for you.
Awesome. So at the moment, that is all the questions that I have. I'll give it a minute in case anybody else still has one, but if nothing else at the moment, you can always reach out to us. You can reach out to your business development manager, and we're happy to answer any and all questions you have on the product. So it's looking like that is it on the questions at the moment. So at this time, we are going to end the call. Thank you very much for attending. We hope that you found this helpful. As I said, we will be sending out a video after and also sharing it to our social channels. We hope to speak with you guys in the future soon, and keep an eye out for some future webinars to come. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day and your week. Bye-bye.